Hey guys, here we are at Playoff Central at MLSsoccer.com. I'm Jesse Marsch, and we're going to go over a little bit of the game of Dallas at Seattle. Seattle did a really good job of keeping the game at 0-0, which allowed them to go through on away goals. But we want to talk a little bit about how Dallas could have been a little bit more dangerous in the game and made a little bit of a shift tactically to try and get behind Seattle. First clip we're going to show is, we've talked in the past that to play against Dallas and be successful, you have to deal well with their dribblers. So the main guy is Fabian Castillo, and here's a play early in the game where Castillo gets the ball and he's now dribbling at their defenders. And Seattle all game long made sure that they kept players behind the ball and that they were ready to shift to deal with double teams, especially when Castillo was on the ball. Here they were able to stand him up. Zach Scott eliminated his options. Alonso's there to help, and there's nowhere for Castillo to go. But for Dallas to be more effective and dynamic in the attack, I think they need to look to make runs that now allow Diaz to play penetrating passes. It's easy for Seattle defenders when everything's in front of them and they can close things down when balls come to feet. They needed to have more guys on the field who were thinking about being an option behind the back line. One mistake I think Pareja made was not starting Escobar, because he's one guy that's effective in that manner. But in another way, I think they needed to make a little bit of a tactical shift and a mental shift with how they used Castillo. When you go back and look at Fabian Castillo's two most dangerous plays in the game, it was when he was thinking about being on the move and running behind Seattle's back line. He needs to incorporate that more into his game so that he can be more than just a guy who's looking to dribble and be a threat on the ball. When we go to the second clip, Ekendelli picks the ball up in the midfield, and Diaz is an option forward and Castillo's somewhere in the midfield. For me, in this moment, Castillo should be thinking that the first pass is going to make its way to Diaz, and that now his first responsibility is to start thinking about being the next passing option as a penetrating pass. Right? The ball comes to Diaz, and Castillo stands and waits and thinks about getting balls to feet instead of being on the move, which then means that even though Diaz has some space to look forward, Castillo is now actually behind the ball, and the guy who is the biggest threat isn't even an option to be in this space on the field. So when you look at this again, as soon as Diaz collects this ball, you'd like to now see Castillo really taking off to be an option down here and put Gonzalez on his heels. Instead, they find Watson in that area, who's not nearly as threatening. Castillo isn't even an option ahead of the field, and it winds up being a turnover. Now we'll go to a third clip. Again, early in the game, Castillo picks up a ball in their half of the field, starts to try to go and dribble at guys. As you can see, like we've shown before, they have numbers to make sure that they can slow Castillo down. He's forced to go backwards because there's nowhere to play. Now, once again, the ball comes to Diaz, and for me, in this moment, Castillo should be thinking about making a slashing run and being an option behind their back line and putting their defenders on their heels, especially when Diaz gets the ball, because he should have so much confidence that Diaz is the type of player that can play those kinds of balls. Instead, he waits, he stays on the line, he gets it to feet. Again, Seattle's able to get numbers around the ball, and there's nowhere for him to go. So it'll be important for Oscar Pareja and FC Dallas to make a little bit of a tactical shift when they move into next year so that they can use Mauro Diaz in a way where he can play more penetrating passes and their attacking players can make more penetrating runs. That's it for now. Stay with us on MLSsoccer.com for all your playoff coverage.